Ladies and gentlemen, peoples of all types, children of all ages, humans and non-humans, let's get ready for Sports Conspirators!
I'm Brayden.
And I'm Andrew.
Basically, to follow along with some of our other shows, we're going to be conspiracy focused. But the difference of this show is going to focus purely on sports conspiracies.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about this. It's about time I was informed on a topic, and I feel like this is a little bit more up my alley, so it should be fun.
It's an interesting one because there is a plethora of sports-based conspiracies that we never touch on some of our other projects, purely just because we forget about it. So it's nice to have a dedicated avenue where we can kind of go all in on some of these sports conspiracies. And there's a whole bunch that jumped to the forefront of my mind of we could get into rigged boxing matches, Deflategate, rigged betting on NHL games, Michael Jordan being suspended for gambling, right?
Or the fact that his dad just seemingly disappeared and then was found murdered.
Right? Like there is endless of sports conspiracies, and we're going to touch on all of them this show. But for our first episode, we are going with the sport near and dear to our heart, professional wrestling.
The sport of sports entertainment. Come on now. What more? First of all, I feel like this podcast is going to be easily 50% wrestling and then the rest, because you can't go through the history of wrestling without just you drowned in conspiracy. You've got murder, you've got screw jobs, you've got fucking everything.
And speaking of screw jobs, tonight's episode, we are talking about the famous Montreal screw job, centered around probably he is my favorite wrestler, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Well, he is the best there is.
Best there was.
And the best there ever will be.
When I was growing up, I think I was... I don't know how, he was huge. He was huge in WWF. And for me as a Canadian growing up, he was the first Canadian. I think that's why I was drawn to him. It was he was the cool Canadian wrestler. He had the hot pink, the leather jacket, the glasses, the hair. He had everything. And not to mention that, the guy was the best technical wrestler of all time.
I mean, come on. Who did we have with Jacques Rougeau or whatever, the Mountie?
Yeah, the man.
Right? Just the ultimate heel running around with the Canadian flag. But for me, it was tough for me because I grew up, I don't know why, maybe just being a contrarian by nature, I've always loved heels. Yeah. Heels have always been my favorite characters throughout sports, throughout movies, everything. And Bret was the ultimate good guy. He was the ultimate professional, right? Even his promos, he would cut promos on guys, but he would do it respectfully, right? He carried himself with such pride, and he loved that sport more than anything on the planet. And me, as a person who was always drawn to heels, couldn't help but love him.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I was definitely more of an Owen guy eventually, right? But still, Bret, there's nobody else that did it like Bret.
So, Andrew, paint us the picture of what the Montreal screw job is. What's that about?
So here, if you listen to our other show, I'm not known for my notes.
Yeah.
This is my first time doing notes. This is meaty. This is going to be tough. There's going to be a lot of interjecting. So first rule of sports conspirators, when you need to interject and you want the floor, you can get it immediately, but you want to know how you have to get it? You have to drop let me tell you something, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Floor's yours.
Okay.
Every time.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that's it. Okay. I like it.
Yeah. So get ready
Let
for
me
some
tell you
peanut
something,
butter
brother.
mouth.
I like it.
Yeah, perfect. So get ready for a little peanut butter mouth reading here. It's going to be interesting. So the Montreal screw job takes place on November 9th, 1997 at the Survivor Series pay-per-view event at the Molson Center in the World Wrestling Federation. So owner Vince McMahon and WWF employees covertly manipulated the predetermined match outcome of the match between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. The manipulation occurred with out Bret Hart's knowledge and resulted in Hart, the reigning WWF champion, losing the title to Michaels in his last WWF match before departing to the rival promotion WCW. So right there, like the biggest part about this before, like, but we're going to paint you guys a little bit of picture and give you a little bit of insight on who Bret Hart was as a person in WWE or WWF at the time, obviously. But one thing that you need to understand before we even get there is the absolute hatred between these two individual wrestlers.
Between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, they did not see eye to eye. In recent years, long past, they've buried the hatchet. But at this time, Shawn Michaels was a new up and coming wrestling. He was hot off the heels of, kicking Marty through the window, breaking up the Rockers, right, and doing a solo run. Who was his? He basically turning into the Heartbreak Kid. And he was hot. Like, there's no denying that Shawn Michaels was hot. But the problem with wrestling is it still to this day is very much an old boys club, and there's locker room rules that you need to follow, and you got to respect guys. And a lot of the older guys like Taker and Bret Hart, the locker room leaders, didn't like Michael's attitude. He had a real, arrogance to him. He felt that he was the shit. He was better than everyone else there. And, that rubbed a lot of people, including Bret Hart, the wrong way.
Well, and then the best part about this too, okay, so you already have a little bit of friction, we're talking locker room friction, right? But then you get these two guys in the ring and you have a complete fucking contrast in wrestling type, right? You have Bret Hart, who is the traditionalist, right? The guy that's perfected all the holds, all the moves, the guy that does everything hard way, the guy, the brute in the ring. And then you have the high flyer, Shawn Michaels. Everything's pretty. Nothing's traditional. Everything's high flying, selling everything like crazy, right? And then let's not even get started in their fucking gimmicks, right? Like, this is fresh off of Shawn Michaels doing a spread in Playgirl magazine with the championship belt covering his crotch, right? He completely embodied the Heartbreak Kid. That was his whole gimmick, and it was fire and gasoline from the beginning. So before we get into some specific things that just lit the fire for them,
Let me tell you something, brother. And when we say,
all right, theorites, thanks for tuning in to this teaser version of episode 1 of Sports Conspirators, the Montreal Screwjob. If you like sports like us, if you like what you heard, you want to hear more, it's super easy. All you have to do is stop what you're doing right now, open up your podcast player, search for Sports Conspirators, click subscribe or follow, whatever it says on your app of choice. That's it. All episodes will be there for you for free. Launching a new podcast hinges on just one thing, and that is getting as many people to like and subscribe on opening week as you can. If we do that, we might be able to trick the algorithm and bump the numbers up a little bit for your boys. So we'd appreciate it. So once again, open up your podcast player. Search for Sports Conspirators. Hit follow, hit subscribe. And if you'd be so kind, just a quick 5-star review. And hey, if sports aren't for you, you're here for the aliens, the conspiracies. That's all good. Alien theorists theorizing will continue as normal, probably even ramp up over the coming 6 months. All right, we'll see you on Sports Conspirators. Peace.
If you're busy juggling life, there's still you time. That's where DMAC comes in. With online classes that are flexible and convenient, you can even earn a degree in business, liberal arts, or criminal justice completely online. With mobile and student-friendly features, DMAC's outstanding online program will help you get the job or promotion you deserve. DMAC Online, with you in mind. Apply today. Your time, your DMAC.